So we're officially in a flashback. This is centered around Maru and Cross as they are kids back in Sumeria? Because at the end of the previous chapter, we saw Cross and Yuka having like this heated conversation about essentially humanity coexisting with the Sumerians. And Cross was being like real stubborn and narrow-minded and kind of talking around the fact why he hates humans or hates the fact that the Sumerians have to coexist with them. And Yuka was just killing him with kindness, essentially, trying to get to the bottom of why he feels the way that he does. And it seems like he's finally opening up here because this flashback is essentially just him telling this story to Yuka. So we're immediately finding out that Cross and Maru's parents were killed by the government of Sumeria. They resisted until the very end, only to be crushed into rubble of their home. And as his father died, he was clutching some rock that he thought was ordinary, but the way that he was holding it made it seem like it was super significant. And now he wonders if there was really something more to that. So this rock is probably going to come back and it's probably going to be super significant. We're also being introduced to this guy, Dora. He's kind of like the GOJO, I guess, of this flashback maybe. But his full name is actually said in the title of the chapter. Dora Val Bobbity Machika. And if you're thinking, whoa, Bobbity, that's like that Dragon Ball Z guy. But also, isn't the king of the Sumerians named Dora, who is also from Dragon Ball Z and a part of that final DBZ arc villain clique? Yeah, I guess Gege is really calling these characters after Dragon Ball Z final arc villains. But since we found out that their parents have died, Cross and Maru are orphans now, and they're taken under the wing by this guy, Dora. And the whole crux of this chapter, and I guess just the flashback in general, is that Dora is trying to build this canal. He comes from the same tribe that Cross and Maru come from, which are the Rumelians. And the Rumelians as a whole just have beef with the other tribe, or the other race of Sumeria, called the Deskunti. But they're essentially just like manually, with like a pickaxe, going through this patch of land to make this canal, so that trading between the Rumelians and the Deskunti are just easier, because if they didn't, they'd have to go all the way to the bottom of the continent and then up again, you know, just like this U shape, which is just unnecessary. So making the canal will make everything better. And then there's other applications for it as well, like Dora running water from the river nearby, making the land fertile, and just giving everybody clean water in the process too. So it's overall just a net positive. It's a good thing that this is being made. However, the issue is that all the Rumelians don't like the Deskunte because they're like kind of evil, I guess, and they've done really bad things to the Rumelians, as we saw in the beginning of the chapter. Later on, we'll find out that the Deskunte killed that guy Jabaloma's daughter. We'll get to that, but I'm not laughing at his daughter dying. I'm just laughing at Jabaloma's name. That's never not going to be funny to me. I don't know why. We're also finding out that the only people that can actually make this canal are the Rumelians themselves, because of these creatures called the Kallians. According to them, they're sacred beasts, and they refuse killing them altogether, so they kind of just let them do their own thing, you know, on this patch of land. Similar to animals in a country, in our world, in real life. And I'm sure a lot of you are actually watching this video, and if you are, hey guys. Also, Kallian is mentioned one other time in this series, and it's back in chapter 4. When Takeda, who is still under the guise of being a first grader, first summons his Shikigami, Tsurugi looks at it and he's like, a Shikigami guardian spirit, and then Maru responds with a Kallian. And at that time I thought, oh, is a Kallian like a cursed spirit of the Sumerian world? And it turns out, no, he just heard guardian spirit and associated with the Kallians, which don't appear to be cursed spirits. They just seem to be like straight up real, like mythical animals, I guess. I don't even know if they're mythical. They look like something from Princess Mononoke, but I don't know if they're like supernatural in any way. They're just referred to as beasts that are sacred. But as this chapter goes on, Dora is like bonding with Maru and Cross, explaining to them why the canal is important, because it can be used as a device to essentially bring peace between the Rumelians and the Deskunte. And Cross is having a hard time understanding this because, I don't know, I guess this is just trying to show like the bell curve of Sumeria with this. You know, on both ends we have like Maru and Dora, even though Maru doesn't really talk that much in this chapter. In the middle, we would have like Cross and the rest of the Rumelians, because all the other Rumelians are against this project. They're even sabotaging it multiple times in this chapter, but Dora's like, you know what, they just don't understand. Let them just do their thing and we'll just keep doing our thing. Hey, also guys, if you haven't already, please subscribe as well. This is mainly just for my Jujutsu Kaisen guys. I'm covering all the chapters. You know, however long this goes, it's supposed to be 6 months, but maybe Gege will go longer than that. Probably not. But once we get to January, season 3's coming around. Going to be covering that. And then I'll have some other Jujutsu Kaisen content coming out as well. And I like the video. All you got to do is just a couple centimeters over with your thumb, boom, like, and it'll help the video grow. So thank you. I appreciate it. But over time, Dora, I guess, through just grit and determination and just being kind, gets through to them along with the rest of the village. And we see that guy Jabaloma come back. And he's like, hey, the Council of Elders have given their approval. So the whole village will work together to continue the canal project. And Jabaloma is apprehensive of this because he doesn't like the Deskunte. He lost his daughter the same way that Maru and Cross lost their parents, to their isolationist policy. But he never got angry or consumed by hatred, and he kind of just, I don't know, wore a mask to hide it. Which I'm still wondering if Jabaloma is evil or not, or maybe he wasn't always evil, but he seems like he's going to be a bad guy current time in the story, but I could be wrong about that. And if he is, there's probably a reason why he's justified in feeling the way that he does, you know, especially because we're seeing what's happening with Cross. But once the canal is completed, we see this ship coming through, and I'm assuming this is the Deskunte because they look different than the Rumelians, and the big difference is that they kind of look like Black Clover characters, I guess, but they have horns, which Deborah has as well. So I guess that means that Deborah is a Deskunte, and that for sure means that he's evil, I guess, and he is going to do some bad things later on in the story, because I guess it's being painted here that the Rumelians are the baby faces and the Deskunte are the heels. I could be wrong about that. I don't want to be bigoted and say that all Deskunte are bad. Maybe there's some good in there, but it seems like maybe a lot of them aren't the best people. But anyway, long story short, the trading between the two races resumes and everything seems to be going well. Until we come to the end of the chapter and we find out that just one day, a Callian, you know, those sacred beasts that we were talking about, mauled the daughter of a Deskunte chieftain to death. Because, you know, they attack everyone that's not a Rumelian. So this is probably going to start a war between them. And then everything's just going to go to chaos. And I assume this is going to lead to all of the surviving Sumerians have to leave to Earth. And that also raises another question. It's like, how do they have interstellar travel, yet they just seem kind of primitive in this chapter? Like, they're like using like pickaxes and like mesh nets to hold the rocks and everything. Like, do they just have pretty primitive technology outside of just having a crazy spaceship that can travel light years? Maybe it has something to do with their abilities or something, or maybe Gege just didn't think that far through. And also, gotta beat a dead horse here, because I know I talked about this a lot in 2023 and 2024, but why couldn't have Gege given us a flashback like this in Jujutsu Kaisen? Because all I wanted was just an extended flashback of the Heian era, and I obviously wasn't the only one. I appreciate that he's doing it now, and maybe he's doing that because he realized that we wanted that. And he was like, you know what, sorry guys, here, I'll give you the Sumerian flashback, even though we're only 8 chapters into the story and you guys haven't really been begging for it the way that you wanted to see the Heian era, but, you know, I guess this is better than nothing. Maybe he's learning from his mistakes. I know a lot of you out there are like super hardcore Gege fans and apologists of his, and you'll just defend anything that he does, and that's fine. But I won't really ever get over that. We need a Heian era flashback. Hopefully they make like a movie out of that, even though that probably won't happen. GOJO and Yuji wouldn't be in it, so maybe nobody would buy tickets, but I would. But anyway, that's where the chapter ends, and this is just part 1 of the flashback. I mean, it's gonna keep going further. I assume Dora is gonna die because he's not, you know, a part of the cast right now, and I guess that's gonna lead to why Cross is, you know, so Cross-like. But let me know what you thought about this in the comments, guys, and if you liked it, please give it a like, and please subscribe if you haven't already. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.